Hi, everybody, and welcome to our Wellness 360 and Webster Rec Center's Friday Night Educational Series. So I am Beth Parry, owner of Wellness 360, and this is Jay Verna. Say hey, Jay.
Hey, how's it going?
Unfortunately, Jay has a little bit of lapse in his voice versus his mouth movement, so we'll all get a good laugh today. So
Yes.
we have been so busy lately. I apologize, we haven't been on in a while, but Jay has some exciting news. They opened back up the Webster Rec Center. Let's just talk for a minute about what all you all are doing there now.
Well, we started camps, let's see, the week of June 29th. So this is the third week. So if you see me a little distracted, it's because there's little faces pressing against my office window here. So we've been doing the camps, and then 2 weeks ago, the week of July 6th, we started outdoor fitness classes. We haven't been given the okay to open the fitness center and do indoor fitness classes yet, but it's a start. It's something. So
That is super exciting.
Yeah, we're doing when the weather doesn't cooperate, we're doing online stuff. We've been adding a lot to our YouTube channel. So if nothing else, this past 4 months, it's allowed us to develop some of those skills and some of those resources. So yeah, it's been a strange ride for sure, but it's great to at least have more people in the building now. So
Yeah, I'm sure those hallways are really quiet when everything's shut down.
oh yeah, the first 2 or 3 months, it was just, yeah, it was basically me here, but now it's slowly getting there. So we hope to have some good news soon. Once the state gives us the okay to open up, the fitness center will do so. Not sure when that's going to happen. There hasn't really been any even whisper of it, but we're gonna focus on the positives, and that's we got some outdoor stuff going and camps going. So
Absolutely. And I found that with us, same thing. We haven't had the okay to start, but we've been doing our best to do online educational things, and we've been building our YouTube channel with a ton of free education. We're still doing Zoom classes live, which are filling out and doing great. We're opening up all of our classes. We are attempting to start an outdoors class for the Parkinson's program. It's just been too hot for us.
yeah,
So we keep canceling it because of the heat, but we're doing the best we can. I think everybody in America right now is just doing the best we can.
Yep. So again, there's resources out there if you want to stay moving, stay exercising. That's what we're trying to do at this point.
Well, I think it's kind of ironic that Jay and I chose this title, but we're going to be talking about digital minimalizing. So we're going to be talking about the exact opposite of what COVID has thrown us into, and about what consuming the digital media and how much it's consuming our time. So I want to just start with some statistics that I found. We spend over 5 hours a day on our computer. That's including after 10 p.m. on 40% of days. So remember, Jay and I did that talk on sleep and how important it was to not be on your computer after 10 o'clock. And I gotta say, I am guilty as charged. I do that sometimes. I try to limit it, but and then we use over 56 apps and websites a day and switch between them more than 300 times. And we pick up our phone at least 58 times and spend close to 4.5 hours on our phone a day. Now, that is a lot of hours in a day. And when you think about just the phone time alone, it kind of makes me laugh when people say they don't have time to exercise. Because if you really start to take advantage of timing yourself, and I do believe, I don't know where to find it, but I do believe there is something on your phone that tracks you and can tell you how long that you're spending on your phone. So I'd be curious to see how much time we actually do devote to our FaceTimes and our social media things and our Instagrams and our Twitter and Facebook. So we'll start with you, Jay. So let's define digital minimalism.
Well, I think one point to make with all of this is not to say that technology is bad or that we shouldn't use it. It's how we can optimize it within our lives for value. So I think if you, from a definition, and actually this kind of, Beth and I got this idea from, I don't know if you can see it, this book by Cal Newport. It's a really good read. Quick, easy read, but it kind of illuminated a lot of things for me. But it's basically a philosophy of technology use in which you focus your online time on a small number of carefully curated or selected and optimized activities that strongly support things you value. So it's not kicking everything to the curb just because we think technology is bad. It's how can we better use the technology at our fingertips that supports our values and allow us maybe some more free time to pursue things that will add value to our lives.
That was a beautiful definition. So I'm really glad that I chose you to give it because I don't think I could have done any better. These talks really is just Jay and I's book club. We decide which books we're going to read and then give a talk on them. So we really enjoy the education portion. So he showed me that book. I jumped online. I rented it from the library. So I did the audio book. He did the reading book. So it was an excellent book if anyone wants to give it a read. It was an easy read. So, but you think 24/7, our mind is full of just noise. It's just like, and I catch myself sitting down and the TV's on and I'm bored and I'm like, I grab my phone and I just start scrolling through Facebook, or just it's mindless scrolling. It's not mindful, which is what we really like to teach to be more mindful. So we're not saying that we need to stop the digital options or the apps or the devices, but it's just finding out what your values are and trying to associate what you choose to do on the computer instead of that mindless searching and using apps for no reason and having these apps constantly, your phone is constantly buzzing in your ear of updates and all of these apps telling you, you know, so-and-so's on, or so-and-so posted, or so-and-so this, or so-and-so that, and it really draws you in. And what I found interesting about this book is I didn't realize all the science that went into why Facebook chose colors, why the phone vibrates for different things, why certain ads pop up the way they do. It's a real science to almost make you addicted to these programs. And it spent a lot of time in the book talking about these things that happen and the reasons behind the colors that they are and the way that they alert you and things to keep you drawn in, to keep you on that site.
Yeah. It's I think one of the things that some of the more interesting parts of the book for me were when you look at the development of things like the smartphone and social media, the original intent was not what it is today. I think Facebook started out as a way to kind of catch up with old college friends. You know, the original iPhone was basically just to pair your music with having a telephone. So after all that happened, probably within the last 8 to 10 years is when I think we've seen that proliferation of social media and all these apps that have kind of slowly crept in and sucked a lot of our time away from us. And there's another stat that they said that Cal mentioned in his book. I'm probably going to get it wrong, but it was something to the effect that anybody born from 1995 onward theoretically can be plugged in all the time, never have, you know, a moment of true solitude where you don't have something coming into your brain from an outside source. And it's kind of mind-boggling when you think of it that way. It makes me feel pretty good that I was born when I was, because as we'll talk about a little bit more, putting aside a lot of these things has been relatively easy for me. I think a lot of the stuff we use professionally is one thing, but kind of getting away from that mindless, you know, time drain of just, you know, being on there. But, you know, it's all about making money. And I think these social media companies have done a great job with that, making these very addictive, making us feel like we have to, you know, we have to invest our time into this because we might miss something. So It's almost scary when you think about it.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to some business owners last night with my business partner, Lindsay, and some other business owners at the Chamber of Commerce event. And we were talking about, we kind of missed that, we missed the gap. We really don't get it. You know, people our age, we don't really, some of us are more addicted, but I know for me, I don't, like when I learned about Twitter, I just couldn't understand why somebody cared about what I was writing. Like, I don't use Twitter, and I did it for the business, and then I hold my phone and I do this. I'm like, what do I say? Like, why do people care with what I have to say in this minute? We don't understand the concept. You know, I like to see my friends and things like that, but I don't understand the constant need of telling everybody what I feel about every situation, about what I'm eating, where I'm eating, what time I'm eating. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't really get that either, and I think that's why, again, it's been relatively easy for me to kind of kick some of these habits to the curb, and we can talk about it as we move on here. But I think I think one of the big take homes for me is that we don't realize, especially probably certainly in the last few years, with all that's going on in the world, when you're plugged in like this, it's a constant source of tension and stress. So when you're, allowing yourself to be plugged in like this, to me, I think it has some negative health ramifications. I think just the stress alone, and a lot of how we can better handle emotions, it makes it a lot tougher. So when you're constantly being bombarded by all kinds of different opinions and, comments that can be very socially charged and intense, for me, I like being kind of away from that. But I think for a lot of people, they don't realize the harm that it could be doing.
Actually, that brings me to my next portion of my notes. Is our brains on multitasking, having this constant sensory coming to us 24/7. Neuroscientists have actually studied this, and they've actually found that it damages your brain. So doing more than, our brains were not meant to multitask. So it negatively affects our well-being. It negatively affects our performance, our productivity. Studies show that when we spend time between media devices, watching TV, there's actual less density in the anterior cingulate cortex, which is your emotional formation, your processing, your learning, your memory. So that is a lot less developed in people that are constantly multitasking. So when we toggle between tasks, it actually depletes our body from energy. So if you wonder why you're so fatigued all the time, this constant being plugged in and never taking a rest from this external stimuli actually drains you and your body of energy, which can lower your immune system. So there was a study by Earl Miller, who is a neuroscientist at MIT, and he found that it takes 23 minutes and 15 seconds to refocus on a task after an interruption. So think about that at work. Think about, you're doing something and you get a phone call, or you're doing something and you decide to, jump on an email. It takes 23 minutes and 15 seconds to get back on track. So I thought that was pretty, and I can see that because I'm very sensitive to these things. I have to be focused on one thing at a time, because if I'm doing this, that's why I have a hard time taking notes in class. I either got to be listening or writing. Like, my brain just doesn't multitask. But it causes increased blood pressure, anxiety, and decreased productivity and creativity. So all of you business owners that want your employees to be more productive and more creative, something you really want to read, because I feel like it had a lot of great information about that kind of stuff. So let's move on and talk about digital declutter, what it is and how you do it. So we'll start with you, Jay.
Well, basically, it was a process that Cal Newport in his book discussed, which was, it's like any other detox that you might read about. But basically, it's a 30-day period where you will take a break from optional technologies in your life. And I think optional is really the key word there, because are technologies that some of us, they're not optional for doing our work. So that's really kind of the key thing. So basically, during the 30-day period, you explore and rediscover activities and behaviors that you actually might find satisfying and meaningful. And he spends quite a bit of time too in this book, especially the second part of it, is understanding what that is, how to fill that void. And you know, those statistics you gave at the beginning of how much time daily we spend on our phones and social media, that's a considerable amount of time to fill. What do we fill it with? And that's, you know, something he discussed a lot. But basically, his message was to really think about those optional technologies and take a break from all of them. And even things like video games, which I'm not a huge gamer, but there are some games I like to play. I don't think I'm addicted to them. And even things like TV, Netflix, consider, you know, kicking to the curb for the 30 days. And then at the end of it, reintroducing those technologies, optional technologies, back into your life, basically with a blank slate. So basically, you want to determine what value each technology you reintroduce into your life and how specifically you'll use it so you maximize its value. So instead of just mindlessly, you know, getting on the phone and looking at Facebook or checking Instagram for, you know, how people reacted to your latest post, it's how am I going to use this stuff to support those values? And then hopefully within that 30-day period, you know, you will also fill that void with, you know, other activities, whether it's reading more. I know for me, I've always been an avid reader, but since I've made some of these changes myself, just in the last 4 months alone, the amount of real paper books I've read has been quite astonishing. So I spend a lot of the same time I would have looking on Facebook with my nose in a book. And again, not everybody's into reading or whatever, so it doesn't have to be that. But the main goal is just to take a break from it, reset things, and try to fill it with something that's going to add more value and meaning to your life. And he goes through some different steps on it. You know, basically defining your own technology rules. You know, the goal is to take a break from optional technology, so you need to define which technologies fall into that category. So basically, a good rule of thumb would be consider the technology optional unless its temporary removal would harm or significantly disrupt your daily life, you know, professional or personal. So you don't want to confuse, however, convenient with critical. Something critical is something, you know, like you don't want to give up all text messages when that's the one way you rely on knowing when to pick your kid up from camp or whatever it might be. So there are some rules and things in there, but again, it's really trying to be as strict as you can, removing as much of those optional technologies as possible. Giving yourself a break from it. The first few days probably going to be tough for a lot of people. In fact, people I've talked to are like, "Oh, I'm not going to give up my phone. You know, I take it to bed with me every night. I got to have it on me. I have my Apple Watch. I have to be constantly connected." And we'll talk a little bit about what connection truly is, hopefully as we move forward in this discussion. But essentially, that's what the digital declutter or detox is.
Yeah, I find it's more than even just a detox. It's more about developing a new and healthier relationship with technology. So it's an intentional usage. You know, finding out what your values are. Like for me, my email is I have to use my email. But I found that now working from home, I'm checking my email constantly instead of picking times of the day to check my email. I'm just constantly walking by my computer, checking my email, and trying to respond as quickly as possible. Well, in the real world, that's not always necessary. So it's me making the choice instead of checking it every couple minutes. Now I'm checking it twice a day. And then after hours, I'm not checking it unless I'm expecting something important. But it's finding out what you're willing to give up. Maybe your first 30-day detox you just can't give up Facebook because there's an addiction. I mean, it's probably one you need to give up, but start off small. Start off with maybe giving up some of the other things, and then work your way into the bigger things. Not to throw my daughter under the bus, but when she was a teenager, I found that when I take her phone for punishment, she actually became a normal human being. So it just was, there was such an addiction to her phone that it created this monster, this teenage, I need to know what's going on. I need to be here, getting angry when she wasn't invited somewhere, hearing what other people were saying, taking it personal. So when I would take that away from her for a week or two, she actually started wanting to come around and wanting to do things with the family, and she was polite and kind and helped out, and it was just a completely different, almost like it changed her brain, which we found out now through neuroscience that it really does. And then just trying to create real life relationships, like instead of texting someone, give them a call, or instead of emailing, say, hey, let's grab lunch together. Just becoming back to being personable with people as opposed to using a screen. And then get outside, take a walk. So you can fill that void time with, like Jay said, reading. For me, it's exercising or biking or hiking or doing something out in nature, trying to find people to have relationships with, striking up conversations with people that I wouldn't have typically spoke with. I found when I did some detoxing of my phone, I was bored. Like, now what do I do? So it took a while to get comfortable with being quiet, because your brain is so used to that constant stimulation that when it wasn't there, it felt weird. So filling it with yoga, with meditation, filling it with things that are going to create a more positive atmosphere. So it's okay to give up your evening Facebook or your evening Netflix to go do some gentle yoga or do some kind of body movement with some meditation. I think that's a great way. But try to unplug at least an hour a day. Even if you just start there, just unplug from everything for an hour a day, and obviously up to 2 hours before you go to bed for other reasons that we've discussed before. And just reset your perspective on this. I mean, I think that computers and phones are a great asset to have, but I also think that we've taken advantage of them. So I feel like if we just change our perspective and using things because we need to use them and not because we're bored or we're craving that feedback of someone liking your post, or needing something that you don't really need, like wanting that that void filled, or trying to fill that empty space or that empty time, or fill that quiet time with something necessary. So it's all about just setting healthy boundaries with yourself, setting healthy boundaries with your computer, with your phone, with your gaming system, whatever that is, but intentionally decreasing your screen time, on purpose, not because you got really busy one week and you just happened to fill the void with filling your brain with other things. It's just like intentionally walking away from things and saying, you know what, this is my time. I'm going to go do something for myself. So let's move on to, let's talk a little bit about solitude. We'll start with you, Jay.
Yeah, one quick thing I want to just kind of talk about what you were just talking about is, there's so many different ways you can fill time. It could even be finally getting around to those home projects you've been meaning to, learning a new skill, whether it's playing an instrument, becoming more handy with your hands. I mean, I think we've all been there where when we've taken the time, put in the toil to learn something, build something, and actually accomplish something meaningful, whether, renovating a room at your house, how that makes you feel truly fulfilled. It's those types of things I think we can fill. Also too, like you said, fitness exercises, movement, meditation, all those things are good, but really any hobby that really forces you to kind of be disconnected from technology, use your hands, use your brain, and accomplish something that's going to add value to your life. So the other thing too is I think we don't always understand what connection is, because having 5,000 friends on Facebook, you're not connected with all of those people. It's
Hmm.
really, if we think about it, there's really very few people in all of our lives that we truly connect with, whether it's our spouse, our children, you know, a handful of really good friends that we actually like to go out with and talk with face to face. So those are the type of connections that I think are truly important. So as you're looking, and again, maybe it's me, but I think we all have these stories of those Facebook friends of ours that we see their posts and it just annoys the heck out of you. It's like, I really don't care that you got up at 5 a.m. and had this for breakfast and now you're going to go do this and that. And, that's great. And if that adds value in your life, but to me, that's not a meaningful connection. So I think, there's a lot of ways we can kind of get around it. And you were talking too about scheduling time to check your email. I think one of the really cool things that I liked, an example in the book was instead of just texting people all the time, putting a notification on your phone. I'm not available right now, but if you want to call me between 5 and 7 p.m. tonight, I would love to have a conversation with you over the phone. So things like that where you can truly engage with people and actually talk rather than always just relying on, and I get it, texting is quick and easy. You're going to pick someone up, hey, I'm here. It's all well and good. We all do it. But I think when it comes to connection, sometimes there's a little bit misunderstanding of what that truly is. And I think things like this can really help us identify what that is and really get back to meaningful connection. When it comes to solitude, I think it's one of those things that I value a lot. I tend to spend as much time as I can by myself, whether it's working out, going out for a walk or a run. I'm the type of person that especially when it comes to fitness, I'm not really a social creature. I like doing things by myself. I like the sounds in my own mind. I don't always need or want to have that input. But basically, solitude is one of those things that just having time away from outside input into your brain, just being alone with your own thoughts. And it's not like something that you have to do 24/7, because we do need some kind of connection to complete our overall health and well-being. But I think if we don't spend the time to have that solitude, it could be 5-10 minutes a day, doing a meditation or doing some yoga or just going for a walk in nature. Because I think when we don't have it, solitude I think is really crucial for allowing us to process emotions, reflect on relationships and what's important in our life. When we constantly have this stream of info coming in and all its different shapes and forms, we really don't have that ability to really self-reflect. So, and I think again, for a lot of the younger generations, again, anybody that was born 1995 or after, that's such a foreign thought. Again, for me, it's pretty easy because it's something I've always done. I didn't grow up with all this, but I'll use my son as an example. He would be plugged in all the time if we allowed him to do that. And I think that's just the world he's grown up into. And I think we need to have some time away. So for me, it's kind of, that's what solitude is, just away from any type of outside voices or information coming into your head, just being alone with your thoughts.
I think solitude can be really complicated for some people, because just in mindfulness meditation, sometimes when we're quiet, those thoughts that we've been repressing and trying to run away from start to surface. And a lot of people find their self-esteem is attached to these external forces, which is really sad and unfortunate. But this generation of wanting to be, for us, we had to actually physically walk to the store and get a magazine. Like, it wasn't in our hand 24/7. So
Right.
seeing all of these self-gratification YouTube videos, and I mean, go for it. If people are making money and doing great things, I'm not against them. I just feel like it's setting us up for our children never thinking they have enough. It's setting us up for always wanting to keep up with the Joneses. It's setting us up, well, if, so-and-so didn't like my post, but she liked this post, then I must not, have value to her. And we really start relating ourselves to what we don't have, as opposed to loving our lives for what we do have, which I think can really, it's walking a really sensitive line between depression and Look at the suicide rates shooting up in younger kids. And I mean, I know there's a lot that goes into that, but I'm sure this constant connection with the external world of things that aren't really reality. I mean, do we post ourselves first thing in the morning, you know, as we're rolling out of bed? No, we Photoshop and we use the lamps and the lights and the, you know, we don't, we take, oh my gosh, there was a group of girls and I was waiting to do this hike on this waterfall, but I was giving them the respect to get their pictures. They took 350 pictures and they swooped their hair to one side and they swooped their hair to another side. And it was just like, no, that's not good. Let me see it. That's not good. That's not. When we were young, you took a picture and you had to wait 2 weeks for it to get developed and get mailed back to your house, or you picked it up from a store. Like, we didn't get to take all of these selfies and comparisons to others.
Yeah, I know. It's, I think with, a lot gets lost in translation with social posts or texting. Someone can say something and you take it a completely different way, or even a post on Facebook or a comment, and you can take it a completely different way from what it was meant. And next thing you know, you're obsessing about that. That's why, to me, good old-fashioned communication, talking face-to-face, or actually having a conversation where you can notice, you know, all those different facial expressions and inflections in someone's voice when they're talking to you, where you can get a better picture or a better read on what's actually happened than, you know, what's that, the comment that you got or did not get on your social media post that's driving you nuts. So again, not to you know, be one of those old people that are just raining on the newest generation's parade.
But we are, Jay.
You know, I mean, that's how they're growing up. This is the world that they're in, and they have to learn how to deal with it. But I think a lot of what you said and what we're talking about can potentially be very unhealthy. And again, there's science that's linking a lot of this stuff to anxiety, depression, and all these things, not just in the younger generation, but in people in general. So
Yeah.
it's again, you know, it's not sitting here saying technology is bad, never use it. I mean, technology has given us a lot of great things, a lot of breakthroughs in, you know, medical science and all these other things. So just need to learn how to use it better, I think, to give us value. To me, it's as simple as that. But the tough part is figuring all that out.
Yeah. So solitude actually allows our brain to rest, which, just like our body, our brain needs to rest. We are in a world of overstimulation from the horns and outside noises and, you know, our computer and those constant notifications, which is something I really liked in the book, because, you know, just turn off the notifications. It's okay to not know you got a text message right away. It's okay to not know, just that constant need for self-gratification. But we have radios, internet, street noises, barking dogs. So it's just walking away from all of that and giving your brain time to just decompress. And solitude actually jumpstarts our parasympathetic nervous system, which we've talked about many times before, but it's a branch of our autonomic nervous system that actually calms us down. It's when we rest and digest. So we wonder why people have all of these digestive issues, heartburn, indigestion, acid reflux, ulcers, you know, constipation, diarrhea, all these things. When you are in that constant state of noise and that constant state of go, 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 and you never bring yourself into that solitude or that place of parasympathetic nervous system, where your muscles start to relax, your blood pressure decreases, your heart rate slows. So when you're in that constant state of adrenaline and go, 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 and what's next, and how can I do this? And oh, here's an app, you know, I want to play 50 hours of Candy Crush, you know, that constant need, our digestive system doesn't work properly. And we're in that constant state of go, 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 go. And our bodies and our minds don't have a chance to decompress, to heal, which is the rest and digest phase. Our bodies heal in that parasympathetic nervous phase. So we're really doing our bodies a huge injustice by not taking that time to just walk away. And again, it can be as little as, you know what, I'm going to make it a point that 1 hour a day I don't use any device. It can be as small as that, or maybe not taking it when you go for your walk. you know, not listening to music, listening to the sounds, or inviting a neighbor, even better, to go for a walk with you, or take your child for a walk or your dog for a walk, and just have that really calming sense of solitude.
Yeah, I agree. I am actually notorious for leaving my phone places because I don't like it, to be quite honest with you. Um, when but after I read this book, the first thing I did was I removed pretty much all the apps off my phone, but definitely all my social media. So really the only time I check Facebook, and it's kind of ironic because this is going to be on Facebook and we do a lot of our work on Facebook, but I have to actually log in on my computer, which is a super pain in the butt. So I rarely check my own Facebook page anymore. Um, and I'm really good at, like, if I go out for a run or I go out for a walk, I never take my phone. If I'm going out sometimes with my wife, she'll say, "Hey, where's your phone? Can you call or text?" I left it at home. So I might be the other extreme, but for me, the other thing I've even thought about too is one of the guys in the book actually went back to one of those old-fashioned flip phones with no apps on it. I'm like, you know, that's pretty hardcore for a lot of people to even think about. But the way I look at it is, it's like I turned all of my notifications off. So really, my phone is for receiving texts, and I do have a news feed, which I've kind of edited, so it's only stuff that I enjoy reading. So for me, it was as simple as that for me. For other people, though, doing those things, and I'm sure people are forming an opinion of me right now as being probably a pretty boring guy, but I don't find a whole lot of value, and I find a lot of those things to be very annoying. I don't want to be around my phone, and I'm very thankful I don't have a job where I have to keep it on me 24/7. I think I mentioned this in one of our other talks too. My phone goes off by 8:30 at night. I don't even keep it upstairs. I have a docking station downstairs. It charges overnight. I hopefully remember to grab it on my way out the door to work the next morning. So for me, that helps out a lot. There's other things I'd rather be spending my time doing. But again, this is probably way too extreme for most people. Just find a little something that's different. Like you said, put your phone down for 5 minutes. Start with that. Then 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe have a conversation with your child, your spouse, your neighbor, a friend, and maybe start developing some relationships that way, because it's kind of scary. We've gotten away from a lot of that too. And I found too, a lot of my communication, even with my parents, is by text. They love texting, but the more I think about it, especially as they get older, it's like, how hard is it for me just to give them a call and actually talk like we used to all the time? So again, it's about finding what works best for you. But there are a lot of kind of creative ways you can. And for some people, maybe it is taking some apps off your phone to make it harder for you to check. And maybe initially it's tough, but I guarantee you get a week or two in, and you're probably going to start feeling a lot better. Probably a lot less tense. Because let's face it, there's a lot of inflammatory stuff going on in social media. You know, everybody's entitled to their opinion, certainly, but personally, I really don't want to be plugged into any of it.
Yeah, it's mind-blowing to me when I talk to people, and the whole time that we're having a conversation and they're on their phone, or they're like searching social media while having their conversation with me, and then they, you know, are talking about how annoying their kids are, and how, you know, you can just tell they're just overly stressed. They're just overwhelmed by everything in life. And then in the same breath, they say, "And I don't know why my neck is hurting so bad."
Yeah.
And I just smile, because it just, you don't realize in that sympathetic nervous phase, your muscles naturally tense up. So if you are constantly living in that phase, your muscles are in a constant state of tension, and you wonder why you have chronic pain. You wonder why you have these chronic conditions, like you were saying, the inflammatory conditions, the chronic, and I found, you know, just that constant stimulation and stress. For me, I would go back to my flip phone in a second. I loved my flip phone. It was my favorite phone ever. I'm a little more advanced than Jay is. I do enjoy some qualities of having this stuff in my life. And that's why you always see it's always Wellness 360 running the show as far as these educational things. So yeah. Jay just logs on with the code. but I have to learn for my job because it is part of my job. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not a big fan of it, but I have to make sure that I'm more of the, I'm going to unplug for an hour. I'm
Right.
gonna, if I'm gonna watch TV, I'm gonna watch TV. I'm not gonna multitask on my phone and watching TV. So for
Right.
me, I did not go as extreme. I did turn off my notifications. I did unfollow. It's a beautiful button on Facebook. You don't unfriend people, you just unfollow. So I'm only following a couple people, so I don't see a lot of the stuff that happens on my Facebook page, on my personal one, because I've started following a couple groups that are positive. And they just constantly put positive quotes and things that I really enjoy, and there's fitness tips. And so I have designed my Facebook feed to bring me joy. So if there's a lot of political stuff, unfollow. If there's a lot of, extreme religious stuff, unfollow. If there's a lot of people that just are chronic complainers, unfollow. Then if I want to see them, I just type in their name and I go to their page on purpose, not
Right.
because it's being thrown at me. So it was a really great feature that Facebook did. So let's talk a little bit about how to reclaim our leisure time. Just letting go of distractions and really focusing on what matters in life. So in my mindfulness program and a lot of the programs that I run, the first thing we do is we write down our 5 biggest priorities in life. And if it doesn't follow in line with those major priorities. So obviously mine's my husband, mine's my son and my daughter, and myself. And so I still have, I have, my grandparents and some family members that I really love, but I unplug from everything except for that for a while, even if it's just a week or two. So whatever apps or computers keep those relationships blossoming and moving forward, I'm okay with keeping those. If it's other apps for a week or two, I just unplug. I completely, just like you said, I wipe them off of my phone and I just really pay attention to things that are really important in my life, which is why it brings us back to what our values are.
Yeah.
How about you for reclaiming your leisure time?
Well, first thing, I want to make a little caveat. For work, I actually have to use social media, so I do concede to that. And I will occasionally, and I like what you said too, because there's some professional groups that I follow on Facebook, and those are the ones that I get the most value out of. Things where, private Facebook forums where you can discuss whether it's nutrition, strength and conditioning. So you're absolutely right. There are really some good, wholesome ways you can engage with it. You don't have to throw it out entirely. But I think it's going to sound kind of funny, but learning to engage physically with real world 3-dimensional objects again, instead of this little thing with buttons and, swiping and scrolling all the time. So again, I said it earlier, anybody that's ever undertaken any type of home improvement project or hobby that involves creativity and building something, and then the satisfaction. It could be learning how to brew beer or wine, and then seeing or cooking or things like that. So to me, putting your time and energies into things like that, and it's amazing how well you feel when, maybe you, did your first plumbing project without destroying a house, or, remodeled your first bedroom and it came out great. And every time you look at it or you go into that room, it was your hands and it was your effort that did it. So for me, it's things like that. It could also be too tapping into maybe creative sense. If you're an artistic type person, if you like music and you want to learn to play an instrument. So to me, those are things that can really give us a lot of satisfaction and kind of get us in that state where we're not constantly being barraged by things that, maybe don't have a whole lot of value or hold a whole lot of wholesomeness for us when we engage in them. So to me, that's kind of, engaging with the physical world and developing skills to create things of value. And again, it could just be on a personal level.
Yeah, I'm the mom that tends to bring the kids together. So we're the house that we like the kids to come to. So we just say, you know what, that's it. All electronic devices stay at the front door. All TVs are off. You guys got to figure it out. Go build a fort or play in the trees. Or I've bought canvases for them all to paint pictures and rocks. With my son and I have painted rocks, and he's put them, on the trails that we walk. And but we have to get back to, like Jay said, just touching things and having real conversations. And sometimes we wonder why we're so stressed in life. And if you really take a good invoice and take a good comb through your life, and you look at, well, I have these dogs that constantly bark, and I have, my kids never are satisfied, and I've got the TV on the background 24/7, and it's on the news. I mean, heaven forbid it's the news 24/7, and everything on the newspaper is doom and gloom. And you wonder why you're feeling low or feeling drained or feeling like decreased energy or getting sick a lot. Really take a real deep look at your life and see what's around you. What are you on purpose surrounding yourself with? And a lot of times we say, well, it's not on purpose. These things just happen to me. But I think that if you really look into your life, there's a lot of detoxing that you can do. First, if we don't watch the news. If I want to know something, I look it up. If it's something big, someone will say something to me that might pique my interest, but I do on purpose research, not just aimless letting other people's opinions enter my mind. I'm not saying that watching the news is a bad thing. Turn it on for an hour, but just not sitting there obsessed. I've known people that sit and watch the Weather Channel all day long, and it's hurricanes and tornadoes and earthquakes and devastation. And I'm like, just turn it off, it's just for a little bit, just enough to give your body some time to rest and relax. But the one thing I teach in my mindfulness class all the time is you have the power and the choice to surround yourself with what you want to in life. So we got to stop playing the victim. We have to realize there's things in our life that we can change. Turn it off, turn off the notifications, set the settings on Facebook, unfollow people. Again, you don't have to unfriend them. You can still look them up and see their pictures of their family vacation or whatnot, but you don't need it constantly being spoon-fed to you every day. Set a time that you're going to check your emails. Watch things that make you laugh. If you're going to spend some time on TV, watch some things with your family. Bring out the old school air popper, pop some popcorn, and sit with your kids on the couch and watch a family movie. Just bringing things back to human connection. How about for closing, Jay? Anything you want to wrap up?
I think I liked everything that you said, and I think a lot of it is just reestablishing what's important. It's kind of funny, all of the talks that we've had, I mean, everything is so intertwined when it comes to our health. You talk about even the low level aches and pains we have. There are simple 8 to 9 times out of 10, it's simple stuff. We don't necessarily have to go to physical therapist or get medical help. It's just unplug, learn how to breathe properly, and next thing you know, that pain between your shoulder blades or in your low back, guess what? It starts to feel a little bit better. So there's so many profound impacts of that, but I agree. Re-engaging, whether it's with your kids, your parents, your loved ones, and actually have real conversations with them. I think most kids, and this is what I found, if you give them an opportunity and you take them to go do something, or get them with their friends where they're doing something outside in the physical world, more often than not, they're gonna take that opportunity. So I think from that perspective, it's kind of incumbent on us as parents to help them and push them in that direction. Let's face it, though, sometimes it's really easy to take the lazy route and just let them do their own thing so we can do our own thing. But yeah, I agree. Just figuring out what gives you value, and just I think when it comes to health and wellness, all the years I've spent in it, we can give you all this information. We can tell you how to get stronger. We can tell you how to do this or that. Ultimately, you have to make the choice to want to do it. And I think don't wait for some kind of motivation to do it. just take that first step, and then things tend to roll after that. So, yeah, I think just understanding what true connection is.
I love it. I love this. I love this. I love everything about our talk today. I just, again, and I just want to reiterate what Jay said, we can educate all that, that we know. And Jay and I are both, we are lifelong learners. We're both the kind of person that we are just going to constantly research. We're going to constantly do. So you don't even have to do the research. You can just come to our talks and listen to what, you know, the latest and updated information, but you alone have to take that first step. And that doesn't mean that Jay and I won't support you 100% the best that we can, but you have to make the choice to take it. So we hope that you enjoy the educational portions that we give you. We hope that you learn something. And if anything, again, today's about just making that social connection and on purpose. Again, all of this stuff is always on purpose, just stepping away from your technology for a little bit, or finding some new ways to get creative with using your hands and being closer to your family. And I think that just making those few steps, you are going to be absolutely mind blown at how your crabby teenager starts to become normal again, and how your kids that are constantly complaining actually want to help cook, and they want to be a part of the family. And you're just going to be amazed at all of a sudden you have that man that's sitting next to you on the couch for, you know, 10, 12 years. Also, he becomes a person, and you actually start to enjoy his presence again. And it's just amazing the things that start to unfold when you really start taking care of your mind and your body. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. Check out Jay and the Webster Rec Center. They're doing some amazing things. I'm super excited to get back in and teach yoga soon as the governor gives us the go-ahead for my seniors. And I know for Wellness 360, we have a new online platform where you can get classes for Parkinson's, osteoporosis, joint pain, low back pain, mindfulness, and bariatric surgery for weight loss. You can get all of those exercise programs for one really low cost, and all the exercises are designed by me and by Lindsay. So you're getting physical therapy, exercises, safe and effective for that diagnosis for one low price. So check us out, wellness360fitness.com and Webster Rec Center.
Yeah, Webster Park and Recreation. Come to our Facebook page for regular updates, programs we're offering. Check out our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Webster Recreation, I believe. You can just Google it. We also put links to it on our Facebook page all the time. So, and again, you know, if there's something you're looking for, you want to learn about, a topic you think would be good for us to talk about, leave it in the comments. I just like to hear from people. I like to know that people
give us feedback.
Are out there and have listened, you know, just say, hey, hi is good. But yeah. And you know what? To wrap it up, just live your life with intention. That's really what it comes down to.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Well, thank you all so much for joining, and we'll catch you again on a Friday night.